On this episode of Bite Sized, we are watching and reviewing the 25th scene of the movie Twilight. For those of you watching along at home, that is from 31:57 to 33:15. And now, on to the episode. Good evening or afternoon or whatever your time it is where you are. Hi, welcome to Bite Sized, the Twilight podcast that's watching the Twilight movies one scene at a time. I'm your host, Ben Abair, and I'm doing all those things that I just said that I'm doing. I'm watching the Twilight movies one scene at a time with a different guest every week. Sometimes they've seen Twilight. Sometimes I send them about 1 minute of movie, and they have no other frame of reference to work with. Speaking of, let's get into my guest for today. I have with me an actor, a comedian, a writer, Matthew Nielsen.
Hello.
Welcome to Bite Sized. How's it going?
I'm well, Ben. How are you?
Doing fantastic. How's
Excellent.
your Wednesday been so far?
It's a pretty good Wednesday.
Yeah?
Yeah. I actually just remembered yesterday that we were doing this.
Yeah.
Which is good. I had to check what
I'm glad
time
you
it was.
remembered.
I showed up, even on time. I thought I might have been 5 minutes late, but
No.
boom, I was like 2 minutes. Punctual, baby.
Yeah, you did great. You're here, off to a great start already.
Oh, it's great because, see, that's what happens when you're punctual. You're proud of yourself, and you can ride that momentum.
Well, let's ride that momentum right into this episode.
All right,
and let's
let's
keep
do
that.
it.
Let's keep those good feelings alive as we get into this. I'm going to start this interview the way I start every interview on the show. That is by asking you, Matthew, what is your history with the Twilight franchise?
Right. I am an unknown.
Yeah.
Yes. I know. I have not read nor seen, other than this clip you sent me. I might have seen like 30 seconds a clip. I know there's like one thing where they may be playing baseball.
There's a baseball scene that's pretty famous, yeah.
Right. So that, and
Yeah.
I think it's like comically famous.
Oh,
right?
for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, like every time, whenever I was like starting this, getting, people interested in this podcast at first, and I was talking to guests initially, everyone was like, I want to do the baseball
That's
scene.
the first one.
And only one person could get there first. So you've never seen it, obviously, never read the books, I'm
Right,
guessing.
no.
Is it something you were aware of when it
Totally.
started becoming popular?
Yes,
What do you think
definitely.
your first introduction to this whole world was?
I'm very familiar with Harry Potter. So
Okay.
it's like, okay, it's akin to Harry Potter.
It is.
But vampires instead of wizards. You
Yeah,
know?
basically.
And also more heavy on the CW aspect of like, hey, these are kids we're going to love, let's
Right.
get into it. It's more about the crushes than it is about the stuff.
It does have like a little bit of Degrassi mixed in there. Well, then let's get your just first initial impressions then.
Yes.
This 1 minute and 18 seconds is all
It's
of Twilight
loaded.
you've seen. This is your only, this is your how do you do
Yeah.
to the whole Twilight franchise. What do you think? Is it something you're going to check back in with?
I mean, knowing what it is, it's like it's 3 movies, right?
Five.
5?
4 books, 5 movies. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a whole thing.
So maybe not then. I was thinking I could do 3.
It's a big commitment.
I think going in, it's good because it's like, I think there's so much in this scene I had thoughts on,
Yeah.
not knowing like, where this is going, where this lies in the order of, because I do know there was Team Edward versus Team Taylor Lautner, and I always forget his name. Jacob. Okay, yes.
That's his name, yeah.
Yes. So I know that was like a big werewolves versus vampires. Ooh.
That's the big debate in the movies. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we only get to see sort of half of that this time around. Let's give you a brief overview of the scene for the listener. We're at the beach. They're hanging out in a cool van. Everyone's getting ready to surf. Bella's there. Jacob shows up. That's about it.
I'm thinking it was post-surf, actually.
Post-surf?
Yeah, I think they just surfed.
No, I think they're about
They're
to surf.
about to surf?
Yeah, because they're
Okay.
like actively putting on their wetsuits.
Okay. What makes me say is they had the blankets on. Maybe
Yeah.
it's just cold anyways.
It is cold. Like in previous scenes in the movie, it's like, I don't know, around the time of year that it is now, probably there. It's like start of the school year in the spring. So it's still like cold. There's still ice on the ground. And yet here they are at the beach going surfing. That does not seem like the best idea.
That's commitment. That's as far as the surfer movie stuff I've seen. That's you really got to want it. That's Lords
Yeah.
of Dogtown, Point Break, stuff,
Right. And when you think like surfing, you think, summer, California, Hawaii.
Right.
Not like, I guess like when you're in the Pacific Northwest, you sort of got to
Okay.
take what you can get. Washington State, I didn't know it
Yeah.
had a really big surfing scene. I just think, I don't know, if it's that cold outside, I don't know that I'd want to get in the water.
Yeah, I think I do know from experience working with ice cream and freezers and working outside as a dog walker for a while. Like, I at least was able to reach this mental point of like, oh, I can do this. I can shut it off easy. So especially a surfer like that would be like, oh yeah, dude, for the waves, of course.
Right. I did a lot of canoeing as a kid.
Yeah.
In Houston where I grew up. And like even in the winters we'd do it when, Houston winters being like, I don't know, 50 degrees.
Okay.
But even then we were always trying to like stay bundled up, stay in the boat, don't fall in the water. I couldn't imagine in weather like that intentionally getting in the water.
Right.
No matter how good your wetsuit is. I think it's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
Some guy walks through the vans. The scene starts out with a guy says something that sounds like we're paddling out, Coops.
It's freezing. Paddling out, Coops.
I don't know who Coops is. I looked it up. There's no one named Cooper in this scene. No idea what that guy is talking about. Most of this scene is just sort of Bella sitting in a cool van. I'm gotta say, kind of jealous because these are all high schoolers, and when I was in high school, I did not have a cool van like that.
Cool van eating Twizzlers, nonetheless.
Eating Twizzlers.
Yeah, she's got it made.
Where do you come on the Twizzler debate? Are you pro or con?
I like Twizzlers.
Yeah.
I like them all. I do see Red Vines as different from
Okay.
Twizzlers. I like Twizzlers. My favorite form of Twizzler is, and it's weird, they only put them in the like Halloween candy pack.
Yeah.
It's like the two side by side, but they do have a hole in the middle because they also have the Halloween pack where it's still the regular Twizzler that you buy in like the bag in the store.
How is that different? Because I gotta admit, I don't like Twizzlers. I don't eat them.
It does taste a little different. It is a little more like, rich isn't the right word, but I think I do mean rich like money. Like, ooh, I'm a little more pompous. I like my Twizzlers a little showy.
A little fancy Twizzler.
A little like more circus is a little more festival. It's a festival Twizzler.
It's a money festival Twizzler. Yeah. Love that description. What kind of did you drive a cool van in high school?
No. I had my whip was a 97 Civic.
Oh, I had a
beauty.
I had a 94 Civic. So we were in pretty similar situations.
We were set.
Yeah.
We were the cool kids. That's right.
I mean, hey man, I had a car, and that's
right.
That was good enough for me.
But my buddy had a van.
Really?
Yeah, one of my best friends, and he was like the chauffeur of the crew then. The parents' Honda Odyssey. They sold him the parents' Honda Odyssey.
Nice.
And so we had a Honda Odyssey. He took out the back and threw a love seat in the back area. So that was, proper high school right there.
That does sound like a cool van. Like maybe not a beaded curtain like there was in this one, but like a love seat in the back.
Yeah, it was memorable.
I learned to drive in my mom's minivan, and it was not as cool as that.
Yeah.
It was mainly terrifying.
You don't want to learn in a minivan.
No, you can feel the wind and everything really move everything around.
True.
I was terrified at first because driving a minivan, it's huge and you feel like you're going to destroy everything. And then I got my tiny Civic and was like, oh, this is so much easier.
Yeah.
I get it now. Bella is hanging out with her friend whose name I can never remember, and they're talking about prom.
Right.
And about how she wants to ask Eric to the prom.
So I keep thinking that Eric's going to ask me to the prom. And then he just doesn't. You should ask him.
Take control. You're a strong, independent woman.
I am?
Yes.
She wants Eric to ask her to the prom, but he hasn't done it.
Yes.
And then Bella gives her a little inspiring speech of you're a strong, independent woman.
Really inspiring.
It was. Yeah. And she has this nice moment of like, I am?
Yeah. And that's what's so funny because she's there. That's why I noticed the blanket. She's there like cold in a blanket, like very looking like help me, you know? And he's like, don't worry, you got it. But really, Bella, you could tell just kind of doesn't care because she's eating her Twizzlers, you know? She's like, I don't care about your drama. You've told me about Eric and prom forever. Just freaking ask him already.
Just do it.
Yeah.
That is true. They've been talking about that a lot.
Is that a storyline of magnitude?
Not really. I mean, prom sort of comes up every now and then, and like the end of the movie is prom.
Oh,
but
really?
There's a couple guys, the guys that we see later on in this scene, both want to ask Bella to prom, and so she has to like get them to ask someone else, basically. But that's like not an important storyline.
No, I wish it was. If it was, then I'm watching it. This sounds amazing. That's so funny.
It would be great if that's just all this movie was, and also there happen to be vampires and werewolves, but they're not important. No one cares.
Everybody
about that.
loves prom.
Everyone loves prom. Did you love prom?
I was lucky enough to go twice. Let me tell you that.
Okay,
almost 3 times even.
How did this work out?
Well, it's supposed for the juniors, right? At least in our school.
I guess.
It's supposed for the juniors.
I was homeschooled. I don't know how this stuff works.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. No, well, actually, prom, it doesn't exist. It's made up.
What?
We've all been told just to say it.
Oh, my God.
You know, just to talk about this time where we all got hammered and had sex and danced, and it was great.
But all the dresses. Who
and
buys all the dresses?
we rented tuxes and bought dresses
It's all a scam.
and took pictures and rented party buses.
Oh, my God. That
No,
sounds
yeah,
incredible.
It was fine.
Yeah. Did you go with someone?
Yeah, I went someone the junior year
Yeah.
and then the senior year. I think I had a better time senior year with my date senior year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're both listening right now.
Okay,
So
great.
I will say, Sabrina, I had a better time.
All right.
Yeah. That's
How did you ask? Was it
Super
suave?
this is funny, actually.
okay? Good. Then that's what I'm here for.
Because the main reason I asked this girl was because I had a good idea
Okay.
to ask her. I was like, I have to use this
Okay.
idea.
Were you still like gonna ask her no matter what, or were you just
we were
like
kind of flirty anyways,
Okay.
you know, so it was like, the potential was there.
Yeah.
And so this girl took voice lessons from a teacher who lived down the street from me, right?
Okay.
And she knew I lived there. And frequently I'd be out in the driveway shooting hoops, you know?
Uh-huh.
Actually.
just trying to look attractive?
Just being chill, you know, cool as hell.
Just sinking
throwing
some
off
free
my
throws
shirt.
'cause that's what the ladies
sinking,
like.
3 throws, a few layups here, fundamental ball.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
That's it. Girls love the fundamentals.
I do a bounce pass against a tree. It
Just,
comes out. They love
just
it.
giving you missing so that you can pick up rebounds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just practicing. And I was like, I can. And I wasn't even artsy enough. Well, I was, but I was like,
Uh-huh.
I can get prom 4 letters. I got 4 trees on my front lawn. I can put all the letters on
Uh-huh.
a tree, and then I'll make a question mark shirt and I'll put it on a shirt. And so she'll drive by and I'll run out, you know, and so and it did
Uh-huh.
it, and it happened. And she was like, and it was funny too, because she was just like, yeah, okay. And I was like, yeah, sure. We were both just like, yeah,
Uh-huh.
we got to have dates for prom. We're not
Sure.
going to, you know.
Can't go alone.
And the reason that pushed me over the edge to enact this plan.
Yeah.
I was the drummer for our swing choir, but we called it vocal jazz.
Okay.
And she was in it. She was a singer. And then there was this other guy. We were so short on guys that senior year, we're like, anybody who wants to sing and do show choir,
Yeah.
senior vocal jazz thing, we'll take you. And there was a guy named Fred who was a baseball player. I'd known him forever, you know,
Uh-huh.
and he just had the personality, you know, so he's like, yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah.
So he did it. And it was known that Sabrina has a crush on Fred.
Uh-huh.
But Fred isn't going to ask her to prom.
Okay.
And I knew, you know, and that person hoping, but it's like, I know Fred, okay?
Uh-huh.
I've known him for years. We've played ball. We've played basketball, baseball, not basketball. But I was like, I know he's not going to ask.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'll ask Sabrina. You know, it
Uh-huh.
was so kind of weird and selfish.
All
but
right.
We had a good time. We got along,
It worked out.
you know, yeah.
That's pretty smooth. I'm not gonna
And-
lie.
Thank you. And I did not expect to share that today, and it's pretty funny.
I'm so glad that you did.
Yeah, right? I guess one of the few things I'm proud of, I guess.
Yeah, it sounds like you really nailed that one. I don't know that high school me definitely would not have been that suave.
And honestly, I think I did it for future Matt, you know?
no, you did it for the story.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I don't want to look back and be like, man, you did nothing for your prom. You're so lame.
And here it is, paying off right
And
now.
here it is, paying off on a podcast.
Bragging to the world,
Love to
Matthew
see
Nielsen really nails the prom.
Matt
ass.
Nielsen went to prom 2 years, man. Almost 3. The almost 3 is
Almost 3.
Yeah. See, someone told me they should have took me, so I'm like, well, that counts as 3.
Okay.
Because if you were a sophomore, you
To
could
a prom that you already went to, or to
No. I
Okay.
didn't leave and then come back.
You did-
This is
yeah.
2 different proms.
Got
No.
it.
Yeah, in our school, it was like it's for the juniors. The juniors put it on, but seniors can also go, and then sophomores can go, but only if you're a date.
Got it.
Only if you're invited as a date. So
Uh-huh.
it's like, ooh, it's kind of like, you know, a freshman playing on varsity in sports.
Yeah, sure, that thing.
Yeah.
Sounds like you were super popular.
I was
then.
just gonna say, Ben, I peaked in high school, so you're talking to the right person. You're talking to the right person.
Oh, I don't know if that's true. I don't know enough about you now to make that
Right.
judgment.
And hey, 2024 is our year.
Where were we even in this scene? They're sitting in the van. Jacob and his buddies run up and say hi because they're on the beach too.
Bella.
Hi, Jacob. Guys, this is Jacob.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Hi. You like stalking me?
You're on my res, remember? Are you surfing?
Definitely not.
I guess just coincidentally.
Yeah, it didn't look like they were surfing.
No.
It looked more like they were like, which they talked about too. It looked more like they were like, this is our territory. We're patrolling.
I mean, it kind of literally is, because in the movie they're Native Americans.
Okay.
And that beach is on their tribe's land.
Oh, okay.
And so I guess it's just a cool place it seems like a cool place for all the young people to hang out.
Yeah, certainly.
But
I'd
especially
definitely
them
be there.
because they live near that.
You guys should keep Bella company. Her date failed.
What date?
And there's this great little cutaway shot of the two guys, Mike and Eric. And I think Eric says, "What date?" and has this great look of panic that like you really only see it for like 10, 15 seconds, but he really put in a lot of effort, and I want to applaud that. See that?
That guy, his eyebrow moves a tiny bit.
Right.
He almost acts for a second.
Look at him right there. He is terrified at the idea. That's Eric. He's terrified at the idea that Bella would bring a date. This also brings up, though, because that's Eric and Mike, and they're standing right there, clearly hearing everything that Bella was talking about. But they've also been standing there the whole time, which means they heard Bella and the other girl talk about why he hasn't asked her to prom yet. Oh. They had that conversation with the guy they were talking about standing 4 feet away from them.
Oh, he is Eric?
This guy right here
is Eric.
Oh
my God.
The one that they were talking about, why hasn't Eric asked me to prom
yet? That's Dawson's Creek problematic there for high school. That's like, we can't get away with that.
And just from the movie standpoint, like, come on, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I did not know that. Yeah, now I'm upset.
You can't just have a conversation about that guy who's right there and expect us to believe.
And then just ignore it.
Right.
Like you can if as the friend, as the wing person, you're setting it up. Like, hey, I just brought this up.
Right.
Go friggin' do it.
It
would be a weak move, but
that look of fear in his eyes, that the idea that Bella would be interested in someone that's not him, is some truly fantastic
is
acting.
Eric into Bella?
Oh yeah, he is. Those two guys, Eric and Mike, are the two that I was talking about earlier, who are both into Bella.
But this other girl's into Eric.
Yeah,
okay.
And Anna Kendrick is into Mike.
Oh.
And so this is now.
Oh yeah, everybody's into everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, basically. I mean,
it's springtime.
You know, high school. It's easy
come on.
It's easy to sort of get distracted and start focusing
it's
on
the
someone
point.
else. Yeah.
She invited Edward.
To be polite, that's it.
I think it's nice she invited him. Nobody ever does.
Yeah, because Cohen's a freak. You got that right.
You guys know him?
The Cullens don't come here.
Yeah.
And so you, who knows nothing about Twilight, just going in blind, why do you think that is?
Oh yeah, I mean, vampire, you know, I don't know about water, maybe sunlight.
Interesting.
Maybe there's like a garlic patch nearby.
That's a possibility.
Yeah, I don't know. I did get it's very heavy handed of like, this isn't the vampire area. This is perchance the werewolf area.
And you nailed it right there.
Yeah,
they're on werewolf territory.
Well, they said it, and I had to go back because, first off, they're all talking very softly. Like I'm like, guys, enunciate.
And there's
speak up.
Waves.
We got
and
the
wind.
waves. I can't hear anything. Yeah. And so he's like, He's like, yeah, of course you're on. But he says you're on my base now. I think is what he says. Taylor
Lautner,
Taylor Wolf. And so I was like, whoa, that's one. And then they're like, oh, they don't come here anymore. And then that's big dramatic. So it was like very much, and I don't know which movie this is, but it made me think this is probably movie 2.
Oh, this is movie 1.
Movie 1.
We are half an hour into the first movie.
Okay, wow. See, so the whole thing is Taylor or Edward.
That's the big question.
Okay, because I thought that came in like at movie 3 or something.
That gets settled up by like movie 3, movie 4, depending on how settled. It's the whole thing, man.
Okay, so this is probably, at least the first half of movie 1. So that's understandable then that they're really setting it. They're like, hey, that's this, and this is this, and these are different, and they even don't like each other.
Right, because we're like 30 minutes into the very first movie. Most of what we've seen in this scene and in the podcast so far is just establishing stuff that will play out later on.
Yes.
So we're just getting a lot of information that we don't really need right now.
And that's exactly.
But
you're into Eric. And yada yada.
You did just in that 1 minute clip. You nailed it. You figured out that Edward doesn't go there because he's a vampire, and that's werewolf land, and they have an agreement. Here's the line. Don't cross it. after someone mentions that the Cullens don't come around here, one of Jacob's buddies says, "You got that right," and sort of laughs and looks around like he's waiting for other people to laugh, and they don't.
Okay.
And I don't know if that was intentional or not.
Interesting.
I think no one else had like a line or any reaction at all. And I think from a movie standpoint, it was like, we just got to keep going.
Right.
But watching it closely for this, it really felt like he tried to make a joke and no one else laughed and he got embarrassed.
Okay. I don't even know if I remember that line.
I think it's nice she invited him. Nobody ever does.
Yeah, because Cullen's a freak. You got that right.
So Mike says Cullen's a freak, and then one of Jacob's buddies says, "You got that right," and no one reacts at all.
That made me think that the werewolves, maybe one of them, or they know the Cullens are vampires, but like they don't know who knows or whatnot. You know, like, yeah, you got that right. Those guys are freaks.
Yeah, basically. Again, in like a minute and 15 seconds, you've managed to completely figure out this movie.
Yeah. That's
exactly
what I do with movies.
Yeah, these guys, they're werewolves. They know the Cullens are vampires, and they know that these other kids don't know either of those things. But they're still trying to be like, yeah, the vampires suck because they hate each other.
Have they existed together before Bella, or is Bella
they
starter?
have.
Okay.
And we'll really get into this in the next scene about the history of them. But essentially, if I could sum this up as quickly as possible, and I can't, so please bear with me here.
No problem.
The Cullens, they're all vampires. They moved to that area of Washington State, I don't know, maybe 100 years before the events of the movie.
Okay.
Before that, were in Chicago. Fun fact, that's where Edward Cullen is from. Then they move around a lot because half of them look like teenagers, and so they have to move. The way they hide it is they'll live in one place for 4 years, graduate high school, and then move to another place and they're just constantly going through high school every 4 years.
As we picked up on this podcast, my dream right there.
I guess so. Edward has gone to prom so many more times.
Oh my gosh, dang.
I'm so
I
sorry.
need to be a vampire just so I could do high school all over again. There's a plot.
It's established that Forks is the place in the continental U.S. that gets the least sunshine. Like, it's super rainy all the time.
Okay.
Since they're vampires, they can't go out in the sun, so that's helpful for them.
There.
So I guess that just like this is like their home base, and every few decades they come back here.
Come back. Oh,
I guess. And so the vampires who have been around for 100 years are like the generations of werewolves are all familiar with, hey, these are vampires. We don't like each other. We have this treaty
for a long time.
Yeah, there's some real beef there.
Has Taylor been around as long as Edward?
No, he's an actual teenager. Edward is over 100 years old, but Jacob is just like 17 or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I noticed with these. Because not knowing Twilight, I was like, oh my God, they're all 15.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
And then the scene ends just sort of on another. You called it a dramatic silence. I really think it ends on a very awkward silence.
It is. Well, I would say it's an intended dramatic silence. It did not work.
No,
it was not successful because the dude did not hit his line.
No,
at all.
You guys know him?
The Cullens don't come here.
And everyone's just sort of sitting around not making eye contact with each other.
Right.
Which in a way feels very real to the high school experience, but is also like, come on, movie, give us something interesting to look
cut
at.
away.
Like,
do something.
Do better at sort of building the suspense and the mystery of that scene.
Yeah,
I
just
don't know.
a poor transition, probably.
Yeah, that we were never supposed to notice because it's 5 seconds in a very big movie that was never supposed to be watched this closely.
Right.
That's the story of the show.
And these are young actors in of themselves.
They really are, yes.
Yeah.
I want to stress this at every opportunity I get. I'm not trying to make fun of any of the young actors. I think they're all doing the best they can, considering sort of the weird situation they're in. They're asked to do a lot of stuff, and they do it to the best of their abilities.
They always do.
Especially Anna Kendrick, who's incredible.
I had no idea she was that big in this thing.
This was like her big breakout thing.
She's got this. She's got Pitch Perfect.
Yeah, Twilight came out in 2008.
Big franchises.
And so these couple movies, the first couple of these, were what got her into this, like, oh, Anna Kendrick, she's cool. And then that got her Pitch Perfect, and she just blew up. And
when
now,
was Up in the Air?
Oh, that's
That
a good
was-
question. Up in the Air, I feel like was
During or
oh,
after Twilight, I guess is something.
I
I'm
think
curious.
during.
Okay.
Because there's no
Well,
way
that's
it was
cute.
I think it was Up in the Air. I'm going to say 09. I'm going to Google that right now. 2009. I nailed it.
Hey.
Yeah. So
Nice.
that this is really the beginning of Anna Kendrick's rise to
Okay.
stardom right here.
Yeah. Wow.
Let's start to wrap this up. I'm going to ask my last question that I always ask in the interview. If you had to give this scene a name, what would it be? And this is also going to be the name of the episode, so make it good.
Nice. Okay. This is good. Because, but I got to think of this second one. Because I'm thinking,
There's a lot
sharks
going.
versus jets, because sharks in the
Oh, yeah,
ocean,
yeah.
and it's very this versus that,
Uh-huh.
So I'm trying to think of what would be fun to replace jets with,
Uh-huh.
which is hard because I also see a poster that says jets there. So I'm like, ooh, kismet. No, I almost said tips, but that's just thinking of the tip of the fangs.
Okay.
And that's not funny. That is
Okay.
not funny, Ben. Don't go it.
I
Don't
did
write
not.
it down.
I,
Don't write it.
I got sharks and
Sharks
we're
and
waiting for that last word.
Sharks and capes.
Capes.
No, yeah, we'll go with capes.
Capes. Because vampires wear capes.
Yes, count. Yeah, they do wear capes.
That makes perfect sense to me. And sharks are
Sharks
like
and
werewolves because they're
'Cause they got
animals,
big mouths
I
and
guess.
teeth.
Shark
Lots of teeth.
Yeah, all right.
And the
Okay.
vampires stereotypically only have the two big ones.
Yeah, I see your logic there. I wasn't sure where you were going at first, but I followed you along, and I'm glad I did. Matthew Nielsen, if people want to find out more about you, maybe follow you on social media or go see you do stand-up near my apartment, where can they do
Yes, you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Mert Narlson.
Spell that for us.
MERTNARLSON, which is a fun way to say Matt Nielsen.
that? Yeah.
And I've considered going full Mert, just going by Mert maybe, but we'll see.
All right.
We're going to burn that bridge when I get to it.
Any shows to promote? This is coming out in the next week or two, so anything coming up in February?
We produce Top of the Hops. It's a comedy show at
Uh-huh.
Hop Butcher for the World in Lincoln
Yeah.
Park. It's the third Tuesday of every month.
All right, there you go. Go do that. If you want to follow the show on social media, you can do so at bitesizedpod_ on Instagram and TikTok. There's nothing on the TikTok yet, but I swear to God, I'm going to start posting stuff there one day. I don't know how TikTok works, man. I missed that boat. If you want to get in touch with the show, you can send us a message on social media or send an email to myfavoritetwilightpodcast@gmail.com. I tried to make an email address with the name of the show, Bite-Sized, but they were all taken, so I got mad and made a complete sentence. Thank you so much to Ben Oxshire, my editor, for putting this all together. Thank you to the band Swimwear Department for the use of their theme song Mauled to Death as not their theme song. I always say that. The use of their song Mauled to Death as the theme for this show. If you want to follow me on Instagram, I guess you can at benabear.com. All that information and more. Just follow the show on social media. You know what to do. Like the show, review it, share it with a friend. Thank you so much to everyone who's done that already. Just in the last few weeks, we've been seeing big bumps in listenership every week, and it truly is encouraging. Please keep getting the word out there. Word of mouth is the only way currently that this podcast gets any advertising, but maybe we'll change that soon. That is it. That is the end of this episode. Thank you so much for listening to the Bite Size Podcast. We will see you next time. And as we always say at the end of every episode,
This is it.
this is it. See you next time.
Take control. You're a strong, independent woman.
I am.
Yes.